Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our final Career Insider Series webinar. This time, we are here with alumni Shonik and Arjun to talk about their journey in the consumer goods sector. First, I'd like to mention a few housekeeping rules. Please keep your mic muted and turn off your cameras so that we don't have any distractions. And there'll be a question and answer session at the end of the webinar, which you can write directly to my colleague Eve. You can see her name on the right-hand side is IESE Eve. With any questions you have, you can ask both of our alumni individually or separate, or general questions about their experience with the MBA, or more specifically about their career paths. So let's get started. Allow me to introduce Shonik. Shonik, are you there?
Hey, I'm here, yes.
All right. Good.
You can hear me well?
Yes, 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Great. So hey all, so thanks for the introduction there. So my name's Shonik and I finished the MBA in 2017, and first of all I just want to say thank you to all you guys for joining and listening to mine and Arjun's story. And I'm going to take you today through my journey of how I ended up at Nike, and then I'm going to finish up on some lessons learned which hopefully will be helpful to you as you start or you continue your job search. So if I go to my slide, so a quick introduction about me. So prior to the MBA, I worked in consulting for 5 years, specializing in finance. So as you probably can see here, I was one of those typical corporate guys working in the corporate world. And then I came to the MBA and I didn't really know what I wanted to do after. I'm a huge fan of sports and a big believer in how sports has the power to move the world forward. But I thought it'd be too far a stretch to find something in this industry because I actually thought it was quite a niche industry and it's going to be quite difficult for me to find a job here. But I knew I wanted to stay in finance, and I knew the process for banking started quite early, so I fell into that route and I started to prep for it straight away when the MBA started. So I was kind of invested in that from the go, the investment banking route. However, it was really at the first career fair at IESE. So what you normally have is your career fairs, which happen around October, November, where companies come on campus, and it really opened up my eyes to the opportunities that are out there. And it was where my relationship with Nike first started. So back then, when I was doing the MBA, you had to sign up for these sessions. And given how popular Nike was, by the time I tried to sign up, it was fully booked. So at that point, it meant I wasn't able to attend. But I thought to myself, there's no way I'm going to miss that. Sports is a huge part of my life. Nike is a brand that I've always been really passionate about. If by any means I was going to try and get in, even if I had to sneak in. So on the day of the career fair, there was a huge queue for the Nike presentation, and my plan was just to queue up, and when I got to the front, just beg the person at the front to let me in. But then something very nice happened to me, and a very kind gesture happened to me that day, and this person probably won't remember that, but it was actually Arjun who gave up his spot for me in the session, and given he knew how interested in Nike and sports I was, and I always feel without him doing that, I might not even be at Nike today. So I went into the presentation and I was absolutely blown away at how inspiring the company was. And it was here I actually realized that a dream job at Nike could actually become a reality. But what I knew here at this point, Nike weren't offering internships, but that wasn't going to stop me. I connected with the presenter at the networking event after, and I told him how much I love the brand. I told him how much I love sports and that I would be willing to work for free over the summer. So he really liked my passion, and we kept in touch, and we exchanged some emails to see if we could find a summer project for me that year. However, unfortunately, the summer project didn't work out as he was relocating back to the US, which was frustrating at this point, and I actually felt, okay, Nike is then just a dream. It's not going to become a reality. But nevertheless, I didn't let that get me down too much, and I still kept in touch with him. So what I did is I pursued my internship in investment banking over the summer, and you can probably see from the picture I put up here, it's not something that was for me for the long run. But that's something great about the 2-year MBA, is that often the internship gives you the opportunity to try something out. And if you don't like it, well, you have your second year to search for something else. But what the summer did teach me is that I wanted my focus to be on sports in the long term, because that was something I was really passionate about. And it just so happened I was talking to a professor at IESE, and I was talking to him about how much I wanted to work in the sports industry. And then he told me about another professor at IESE who was actually a vice president for Espanyol, and he put the two of us in touch. So Espanyol is a football club, if you don't know, based in Barcelona. So I met this professor who is the vice president, and I told him how much I liked football and if there were any projects that I could do to help him that I'd love to be involved in. So I did do some work with him in my second year. We did a independent study project, and what I did in both terms, I wrote a case study for the sports business class, and I actually devised a social media strategy with one of the other students for the club as well. So that was part of my introduction into the sports industry and the sports world. And then going into the second year, it was the career fair again, and Nike came back on campus, and this time they were offering full-time positions. And I applied, and I mentioned my big interest in sports, and also mentioned what I was doing in sports that I think would separate me from others. And I managed to get the interview, and I've really prepped very hard for this interview. I've read so much about the company. I worked with some of the other students and professors to learn more about the industry and do a lot of practice for the interview. And I'm extremely happy to say that 2 years ago I was offered the chance to work at Nike, and I can really say I'm working at my dream job at the moment. So I started Nike in the football industry, so you probably all know now my huge interest in football. So this was really a dream come true, and now I've actually moved into the kids business, where the mission is to try and get kids as active as possible and make them fall in love with Nike. So this was my journey of how I got into Nike from the MBA, and now I want to move on to some of the lessons I learned, which hopefully could help you find when it comes to your job search as well. So the first one, I'd always say, it's cliche, but find something you're truly passionate about. The MBA, it's a really big investment, and part of the reason you do it is because you're career-driven people, and therefore the job is going to play a huge part in your life. So it's really important you're going to love what you're doing after. And that really has a knock-on effect on how you live your life and how you come to work. So your passion will come through, and it will reflect on the work that you're doing, and in turn you're just going to get more opportunities. Therefore you'll become even more passionate, and it's like a revolving circle as well. So my number one advice is always follow your passion and find something that you're genuinely interested in after the MBA. And for me, it was the consumer goods industry, and in particular Nike. What I've also learned is that persistence pays off. So I made contact with the Nike employee who I met at the first career fair, and even throughout my MBA, I kept in touch with him. And even after the summer project was something that wasn't feasible, we still kept in touch. And I could say I'm pretty sure he had a big say in me being hired at Nike, even though he would probably never admit to it. And don't be shy in letting others know about your passion too. Everyone in the MBA class, from students to professors, knew how much I love sports, and this was some of the reasons why I got the opportunities I did, for example, to work with Espanyol. Number three, I'd say going above and beyond is recognized. So there's going to be chances that there's going to be many other people who are also interested in either the same company or the same industry as you are, both from IESE, but also from other business schools as well, and even those outside. So you need to think of ways that what you're going to do to go above and beyond that will separate you from the others and make you stand out. And at times, the company's only contact with you is the CV and the cover letter if you don't get a chance to meet them at the career fair. So you've got to make sure it comes out across in those two things, the CV and cover letter, on exactly what you're doing to show your interest in this particular company or industry. And the school, it's a great platform to do so. So I got the opportunity to work for Espanol, but there's other opportunities to the clubs, the school competitions, and just by talking to others like the students and the professors. And this brings me to my final piece of advice, is to continue or always leverage your teammates and network, because this is one of the most important things for me on why I got my job at Nike. So I use teammates here because all your fellow IESE students are your teammates. You'll form such a close bond with them. And if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't have been able to find my job. From things like Arjun giving up his spot for me, to the countless interview practice and tips I got, to being introduced to people in the sports industry, it's vital that you connect with both the students and professors during your job search. So I hope you guys enjoyed that journey. It was a pretty long one for me, but it was worth every bit of it. And at this moment in time, I can really say Nike is an incredible company, and it's an incredible brand to work for. So thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, Shonik, for sharing. Arjun, are you with us?
Yes, I am.
Hi. All right. Arjun, are you ready to share?
Yeah, yes, I'll go through. All right, thanks, Shonik. I actually didn't remember that I gave up my spot, but I'm glad that I did, and it helped you get to your dream job. So, hi everyone. My name is Arjun. So I'm gonna spend a few minutes here, take you through my journey, not only at IESE, but from the start of my career, just to kind of take you guys through some of the key learnings I had and how those learnings helped me land me where I am today. Contrary to Shonik's story, I actually didn't have any idea what I wanted to do after the MBA. So I went with like a completely open mind. I was doing everything from consulting to some finance interviews to consumer goods to, I mean, I was all over the place. And I remember that there were times where I had, I don't know, 7 or 8 interviews in one day. But I do want to take you guys through my journey, because I feel that there are some important learnings I had that can help you in the journey that you guys will go on from here. So I'm from India. So I was born and raised in New Delhi, India. I also probably not at the level of Shonik's football skills, but I did play a lot of sport. Focused very less on education, which kind of built a strong foundation for the way I look at and approach, life, not only professional but also personal. And I think that it's important to build a foundation, whether it was in your childhood, whether it's from where you come, whether it's your experience pre the MBA. It's very important to have a very strong foundation of how you look at things, how you take on challenges, how you take on look at new opportunities, experiences, and so on, because it really helps you position yourself to any company that you wish to apply for. From there, I went to do my undergrad to the UK. So I moved to the University of Nottingham, where I studied finance. I tried and tested investment banking as well. So I did a couple of internships at Goldman Sachs and Merrill Lynch, and realized very soon that investment banking is not for me, similar to Shonik, but at an analyst level. So it was very early on that I realized that it's not for me, but I did learn that it's important to expose yourself to different experiences, at different points of your career, because you sometimes realize things that you don't want to put yourself into, and you also find new things that you're interested in, right? So that was a very important 3 years of my life. But then when investment banking didn't work out for me, I was like, okay, what is the next, type A kind of thing to do? So I joined strategy consulting, and I moved to New York in the US, where I worked in management consulting, focusing mainly on big data and analytics, which was a new upcoming trend. Now it's everywhere, but at that time it was like a new thing. So for me, that was an amazing 5 years of experience, and I learned that there's just so much there to learn outside of the outside world, whether it's in different industry, different function, different streams, and no matter what you do after the MBA, you're gonna just continue learning. So I think it's a very important tip from my side is that to always have an open mind to learn new things, because even during the 2 years in the MBA, you will find many opportunities to learn from your mates in the school, your teachers, your professors, the companies that you interact with, the projects that you do, and it's going to only build up your profile to position yourself in whatever career you choose for yourself. Right. So after having 5 years of this experience, I was like, okay, now I need to do something else. I had no idea, so I thought, like, let's expose myself and go to Europe, where I don't speak the language. It's going to be a new country for me. So I went to, IESE Spain, which was, I think, till date the best decision of my life, because I met amazing bunch of people, the most diverse and talented group of people, but also amazing friends. Shonik is one of them. It's an amazing experience because you not only learn, technical knowledge. You don't not only meet companies that you dreamt of working in, but you really meet and network with a great bunch of people who have all come to kind of start over, right, or accelerate their career. So it's a great experience to have, and it's something to leverage, as Shonik also mentioned. It's the biggest strength that you can gain from this experience. And for me, like, this is where I found AB InBev, where I currently work as a company that I wanted to work and build my career in. And it's these 2 years that helps you find your passion, right? So passion can mean being in a relative field like sport or something, but passion can also mean being with a company that resonates with your personality. And I'll come to that later, but I think that's also something important to keep in mind, is that while a function like finance or consulting, maybe consumer good industry, these are important criteria to have. But at the end of the day, you need to remember which company you're going to work for as well, because or even if you're doing a startup or anything, what you're going to be doing, because that's where you're going to be spending majority of the time. The people in that environment are going to be the people you're going to be interacting most of your time. So that's a very important factor. And I actually got introduced to AB InBev, which I knew the beers like Budweiser, Stella. I knew all the beers, but I never knew the company. But because there was a case competition held at IESE in our first year, I got introduced to the company. And when I started talking to the people there, I knew this is what I wanted to do. So even though I continued my other, all the other interviews that I had and the companies I was exploring, I ended up choosing ABI, and then for the last 2 years, I moved to Belgium. I joined the global MBA program that AB InBev offers to some of the top business schools around the world. It's a very selective group of individuals, around 30, 35 per year. And it's not a rotational program, but it's a structured leadership program that sets you up to be a leader in the company. And for me, like, the way I describe my job here is literally challenging myself outside my comfort zone literally every day. It's my second year and I've already changed 2 roles. I've become a director in the company in 1.5 years. So the company is meritocratic, but it challenges you to the core and puts you in positions that you have never thought yourself to be in. So that's when my last step comes, which is to have fun and enjoy whatever you do, whether you choose, a company which is passionate about, sport or beverages. It could be even like, cosmetic products. It could be banking. It could be consulting. But make sure you have fun and enjoy that time, because that's where you're going to be spending most of your time. And it's going to be dynamic in nature, right? As an MBA, you expect it to be dynamic in nature. So just a few recommendations from my side. So be open-minded, because this is the opportunity to find a new career, and you may go in with like an expected path that you've chosen for yourself, but you never know the amount of opportunities that open up during the MBA. Find your gaps and close them. Some people already have the technical knowledge of business. Some people are good at communication, some people are good at networking, some people are good at presentations and so on. But it's important to know where your gaps lie and help each other and use the resources that are in front of you to close them. Find your priorities and manage your time, because again, even though you have 2 years, you're going to have very limited time, and time passes by. So it's important to prioritize. Take risks. So, take an internship in a company you've never thought of, or something that you've never thought of doing, but mitigate them. So don't just go all out on one end of the spectrum, but mitigate them so that you're not left stranded at the end of the program. And finally, as I said, think about which company, the culture of the company, what the company is trying to achieve out there, and not the job or like the stream that you're only. It's important, but think about where you're going to be landing up. And most importantly, have fun. This is one of the best 2 years of your life that you're going to have. So enjoy and have fun. That's it from my side. Cheers.
Thank you, Arjun. So we're going to open it up to some questions for both Shonik and Arjun. So first I have one for Shonik. Your finance and your finance background. Let me just get it for you and I'll read it to you. 1 second. So they would like to hear in brief more about your work in finance at Nike, and how is it different from other consumer product companies?
Hey, yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, brilliant. So, well, first of all, I'll let you know what I do in finance. So I do the financial planning for categories. So, like I said, I started off in football. So here the objective was to continue to improve our return on investment that we were making in the football clubs and federations that we sponsor. So let's take Barcelona for example. The objective was, okay, we need to set a strategy for Nike and Barcelona, and my main objective here was to set the financial targets, measure and track against them over the course of those the long term. So it's like, okay, with Barcelona, they're very settled, for example, in the European market, but how do we make sure that they grow globally within the United States or in China or places like that? And we look at it from 3 angles. We look at it from the product line. So, for example, the jerseys we sell, how do we make them more attractive to consumers around the world? We look at it from our marketplace, so distribution. So are there any areas of distribution around the world that we're not tapping into currently that we believe can help the FC Barcelona grow? So this could be places like Fanatics, which is a big licensed business in the US, or Tmall in China. And then the next place is more about the branding, so the marketing around Barcelona and Nike. Are we really tapping into what consumers and the consumers that we want to target? Are we tapping into their minds and showing them the great product that we sell for Barcelona? So that was my first role here at Nike, and then now I'm in the kids category. So again, it's the financial planning, but this category is a bit bigger, so it's a bit more responsibility. And it's again really working closely with our general manager to set the strategy for the long term, and then put in financial measures against that where we can constantly measure and track that. And versus other consumer goods, I wouldn't know, because this is my first company that I've worked in, which is the consumer goods industry, but it's much different to what I was doing before in consulting, where it was more project based, whereas this is obviously you're within the organization, so you're very focused on what the organization is focused on.
Thank you. And Arjun, we have a question for you about what's your role in sales intelligence for AB InBev? So what does your job consist of? And we had some trouble hearing you last time. Hopefully it's a bit clearer now.
Okay, I'm gonna get close to the mic then. So basically, sales intelligence is a function we have in Europe where me and my team are responsible for gathering insights about the market, using the data that we have about our consumers and so on to find new opportunities for growth. So it's basically a combination of analytics and commercial strategy to give guidance to our sales teams on where we can grow more volume of beverages and have better plans against our competition and so on. So it's a combination of both data analytics and strategy to basically boost sales.
Thank you. Maybe now a question for both of you. What has been the biggest challenge for you so far in your line of work? Open for you both.
Shonik, you want to go?
Yeah, okay. So for me, it was actually quite a good challenge. So I came into Nike and I landed in the football category, and based on sports, my biggest passion is football. So you come into Nike and you're already landed in the category that you've always wanted to be in, football. So for me, the difficulties was, okay, coming out of football, am I going to be interested in potentially other categories that I work in? So I was in football for a year, absolutely loved it. I got to talk about football 12 hours a day, basically. It was part of my everyday life. And then I went on to the kids category, and this was increased responsibility. It was a step up role. But I always said to myself, okay, am I going to be able to show that same passion within the kids category as I did in the football category? And that was my biggest challenge. However, I came into the kids category and just first of all, know the mission of what it was of trying to get kids more active and get them to fall in love with sport. It's just something that plays so close to my heart because I know how much sports had such a huge impact on me when I was young. But B, it's also the team that you work with. So I'm part of the leadership team here representing finance. When you have your cross-functional team, and you have the general manager, you have your senior director from sales, brand, product, and then finance, and then operations. So, and it's quite an experienced team, and just to be able to work with them and learn from them, it's just been an incredible experience for me. So what I've learned here is it's not just about the sport you're passionate about, but it's also about the people you work with, and just coming into the kids category has opened my eyes about that, and I've just learned so much as a result of doing so.
Yeah, I can just compliment that by just saying that I think it's true for most of the MBA graduates who take on positions, that the amount of responsibility you get straight out of the MBA is unreal, and that is sometimes, you get a team, you get a seat on the leadership table and so on, which means that you really need to push yourself outside of your comfort zone, and there's just not much time to pick things up. You just need to go and strive forward. So I think for me as well, that was one of the key challenging part in the beginning when I joined, but now and I think the MBA kind of taught us to do that, and the experience that we had over the 2 years taught us to handle that situation.
And what about expectations regarding before you started your MBA to after? What lived up to the expectations that you had, and what didn't?
Yeah, I can take that, Shonik. So from expectations point of view, you make your own career, right? So the MBA can only give you a platform to get inside a company. But after that, you drive your own career. So if you are going to step up and take more responsibilities and deliver results according to the expectations that people have, you're going to get more responsibility. And then the more you deliver, you're going to continue growing. And there are a lot of people who are not able to do that. And if you're not able to do that, then your expectations of the typical MBA is not going to come true. Because what we read on paper and what we envision in the company reviews and so on is is the ideal MBA journey, but that's based on how you perform and how you're able to contribute to the company that's investing in you, right? So it's kind of like a two-way street, where you are given the platform, the MBA helps you with that, they give you the platform, but you need to act on it and deliver and take it. You need to grab the opportunity that's in front of you.
Sorry, Arjun, sometimes you come in and out, but there are moments where you're quite clear. Can you try and see?
Okay, I mean, do you want me to repeat the answer or?
No, I think we got the ending of your question, but the way your mic is there is perfect.
Okay.
Okay, all right, Shonik?
Hey, yeah, so I think I'm saying on the basis the same what Arjun was saying, but the exception of here Nike in Europe or in our European headquarters is that there's no structured MBA program yet. I think it's something that's going to be coming soon. It's in the US, but it's not yet here in EMEA. But expectation-wise, it is you come in and you really manage your own career, and it's not just what I've felt anyway. It's not just because I've got an MBA they're going to give me much more opportunities versus someone who hasn't. It's not like that. It's you come inside, you show them what you can do, you build your own brand. It's a huge company, so you have to network with people, but you also have to manage your own career and work with your manager here to develop your career for the long term as well, to understand what you're interested in, maybe what are the functions that you'd like to work in, or maybe some other geographies that you'd like to work in. And obviously, if you do deliver, then those opportunities are more likely to come about. But it's not just because you have an MBA, that you'll get more opportunities, but it also goes the other way as well. Just because you have an MBA doesn't necessarily mean their expectations are higher from you. The great thing about Nike, it's so diverse, and that part of the reason why it's been successful is because of the diversity of people from different backgrounds, from different education levels, etc. So it goes both ways. A, you have to manage your own career here, but B, just because you have a MBA doesn't mean there's necessarily higher expectations from you. And that's based on personal opinion from what I've seen here in 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess that you guys can hear me. Okay. Basically, it's what Shonik was saying. If you have a structured MBA program like we do at AB, you wouldn't have expectations because you are going to join at a position where there is a special program designed to hire a very selected group of people to be potential leaders in the company. So there are high expectations, but as Shonik said, like, you're not going to get special treatment because you're an MBA. So you need to deliver on those expectations. But if you join a structured program like we have, the global MBA rotation, the global MBA program that we have, you are going to come in and there are going to be eyes on you because you are selected for the purpose to be leaders in the company. So it depends which company you join and which program you join, and you make your own career.
Okay, great. And one last question before we wrap up. Why IESE? Why did you both choose IESE to do your MBA?
You want to go, Arjun, or do you want me to go first?
Okay, I can go. So for me, IESE was again stumbled on IESE, one of the career fairs when I was living in New York. I knew that I didn't want to study in the US because I lived for 5 years and I wanted to get an experience outside the US. So I actually didn't apply to many other schools. I applied to IESE because I wasn't sure I wanted to do an MBA. I wanted to do something else. I wasn't sure I wanted to do an MBA. But for me, by meeting people at the career fair, I just found like this again something that I could resonate with, the people, the culture, and the values that the school has, and then the experience of living in Spain and being with a diverse group of people in a country that is again pushing myself outside my comfort zone. So for me, that was key. Those were the key drivers.
And for me, it was quite a similar story. Well, in terms of, I was already in London prior to the MBA, and I wanted to stay in Europe to do my MBA. So there was 3 schools in which I was thinking about: IESE, INSEAD, and London Business School. And it was really when I went to IESE and I got to meet the people, understand the values of the school as well, and they were just so aligned to mine. And I think that's when it comes to you guys who yet haven't enrolled in an MBA or still choosing one to do. I think people and the vibe you feel when you go to visit the school, the students, fellow students, the professors, that for me was one of the most important things in choosing the MBA, because you are really spending 2 years or however long the MBA is of your life in that school, and majority of your hours spent in the day are within that school. And as I mentioned through my stories, if it wasn't for the people that I met or I connected with or I studied with or got learnt from, such as the professors, it wouldn't have been that I would be able to find the job I'm in now. So for me, it was mainly the people decision on why I chose IESE.
Well, with that, I think we can wrap up the webinar. Thank you so much, you both, for joining in, for taking the time to share your experiences in the consumer goods sector. We will, if you need anything, if you have any questions about the MBA or anything specifically about the consumer goods sector, please write us an email. You can write us at mbainfo@iese.edu. Okay, thank you for joining us. Bye.